I'm continuing with this. So, go to the point number 2 from Julius Evola orientation. Such a problem, in truth, goes far beyond yesterday's coalitions, because it is clear that both the victors and defeated now find themselves on the same level. And the only result of the Second World War has been to reduce Europe to the object of extra European powers and interests. We have to recognize that the devastation we have around us is primarily of a moral character. We are in a climate of general moral amnesia and of profound disorientation, despite all the accepted ways of speaking in common use in a society of consumers and democracy. The surrender of character and every true dignity, an ideological wasting away, the supremacy of the lowest interests, and living day by day, in general characterized post-war man. Recognizing this means also recognizing that the first problem, the foundation of every other one, is of an internal character, getting up on your feet, standing up inside, giving oneself a form, and creating in oneself an order and uprightness. People who delude themselves today about the possibility of a purely political struggle and about the power of one or another formula or system, right, who do not possess a new human quality as a precise opposing vision, have learned none of the lessons of the recent past. Here is a principle that ought to be absolutely clear, today more than ever. If a state were to possess a political or social system that in theory would count as the most perfect one, but the human substance of which it was compromised or tainted, well, then that state would sooner or later descend to the level of the lowest societies, while a people, a race, capable of producing real men of just feeling and secure instinct, would reach a high level of civilization, would stay on its feet before the most calamitous tests, even if its political system were faulty and imperfect. We should therefore take a firm stand against that false political realism that thinks only in terms of programs, partisan political issues, and social and economic recipes. All this belongs to the contingent, not the essential. The measure of what can still be saved rather depends on the existence or absence of men who stand before us, not to recite talking points, but to be models, not yielding to the demagogy or materialism of the masses, but to revive different forms of sensibilities and interests, beginning with what can still survive among the ruins, and slowly to construct a new man to be animated by a means of a determined spirit and an adequate vision of life, and fortified by means of an iron adherence to given principles. This is the real principle. This is the real problem. More principles. No. It doesn't mean that. Point 3. As spirit, there exists something that can serve as an outline for the force of resistance and revival. It is the Legionary Spirit. It is the attitude of one who knows how to choose the hardest life, to fight even when he knows the battle is substantially lost, and to confirm the words of the ancient saga, loyalty is stronger than fire. Through him, the traditional idea is affirmed. It is the sense of honor and shame, not half-hearted measures drawn from half-hearted morals, that creates a substantial difference, an existential difference between the beings, almost as though between one race and another race. On the other hand, there is a realization that belongs to those in whom what was an end now appears only as a means. They recognize the illusory character of manifold myths, while leaving intact what they know how to follow for themselves on the frontiers between life and death, beyond the world of the contingent. These forms of spirit can be the foundation of a new unity. What is essential is to seize them, apply them, and extend them from wartime to peacetime. Especially this is only a moment of respite and a poorly controlled disorder until distinctions in a new group are established. This has to happen in rather more essential terms than what might be called a party, right? Which can only be a contingent instrument in view of a given political struggles, in terms more essential even than a simple movement, if by movement we understand only a phenomenon of masses, an aggregation, a quantitative phenomenon, more than a qualitative one, based more on emotional factors than on severe, clear adherence to an idea. What we are hoping for, rather, is a silent revolution, proceeding in the depths, in which the premises are created first internally and in individuals of that order that will later have to affirm itself externally as well, supplanting suddenly at the right moment the forms and forces of a world of subversion. The style that has to achieve prominence is that of one who holds his positions out of loyalty to himself and to an idea, in an intense absorption and in a rejection of every compromise, and a total commitment that must manifest itself not only in the political struggle, but also in every expression of existence, factories, laboratories, universities, the streets, the very personal life of the affections. We need to reach the point where the type of which we speak, which must be the cellular substance of our group, is completely recognizable, unmistakable, and differentiated. Then we can say he is the one who acts like a man of the movement. This was the commitment of the forces which dreamed of a new order for Europe, but which is often frustrated and misled in realizing it by manifold factors. Today that commitment must be taken up again, and today the conditions are basically better because the situation has become clearer. We only need to look around from the public squares all the way to Parliament to see that our vocations are being tested, and that we have clearly in front of us the measure of what we should not be before the world of mush, whose principles are, you have no choice else. We'll have time for morals after we take care of our stomach and our skin. I mean skin in the sense of Sergio Malaparte's novel, The Skin. I covered at least the movie of that. There's also, these are not the times in which we can permit ourselves the luxury of having character, or last and least, I have a family. Ooh. When we hear these slogans, we know how to give clear and firm response. As for us, we cannot act in any other way. This is our life. This is our essence. Whatever positive achievements are accomplished today or tomorrow, it will not be by means of the skills of agitators and political operatives, but by the natural prestige and recognition of men, both of yesterday and even more of the new generation, who are capable of so much and thus vouch for their idea. Heavy.